Thursday night, July 2, 2026. Usually we're all just winding down, getting ready for a quiet holiday weekend. But tonight, well, the tech and gaming worlds absolutely exploded. They dropped a massive series of bombshells that are going to fundamentally rewrite how we work, how we play, and honestly, how we protect ourselves online. So let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to navigate what is undeniably a massive, massive crossroads in the tech industry. It's a completely unprecedented news dump. We're talking historic gaming layoffs, terrifying new browser malware, and some gigantic shifts in cloud infrastructure.
So here's the game plan for the next 10 minutes or so. We've got 5 main beats to hit: the Xbox reset crisis, AI's new security threats, Meta challenging the cloud giants, AI reshaping finance and food, and finally, bringing it all together at the tech industry crossroads.
All right, starting off with Section 1, the Xbox reset crisis and the casualties of market change.
Now, if we look back a bit, you can see the drumbeat toward this impending disaster really started in May. We had those shocking closures of Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks, and remember, Tango made the massive hit Hi-Fi Rush. That basically proved that even if you have a critical and commercial darling, it can't save you in this climate. Then June hits, and Microsoft quietly bumps up Xbox console prices. That brings us right to the brink of this July 6th restructuring, what they're internally calling the Xbox reset. And all of this is leading straight into 2027 with the launch of Project Helix, which is going completely digital only, ditching the disk drive entirely. But the human cost behind these corporate maneuvers? It's just staggering. We're looking at an estimated 3,000 to 5,000 employees affected across gaming, sales, and even parts of Azure. Just look at the specific studios on the chopping block right now. You've got Arcane Lion, the team working on the highly anticipated Marvel's Blade game. That faces a very likely cancellation. There's AlphaDog, Roundhouse, and even a potential merger looming over the Halo developers at 343 Industries. Make no mistake, this is a massive corporate restructuring, and it's all designed to offset that colossal $69 billion Activision Blizzard acquisition.
And this really hits home when you read this internal memo from Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox. He says, Xbox stands at a crossroads. We must concentrate our focus on projects with the greatest impact on Game Pass and our ecosystem. These decisions are difficult but necessary. So he's basically translating these massive corporate shifts into plain English for us. Profitability and Game Pass subscription growth are the absolute singular priorities for Microsoft now. That era of just handing out blank checks for experimental AAA games, that is officially over.
Moving on to Section 2, AI's new security threats, the double-edged sword of innovation. Because right as Microsoft is completely reshaping gaming just to survive, everyday consumers and developers are running into the immediate, terrifying dangers of rapid AI innovation. Get this, security researchers just uncovered the very first fully AI-generated ransomware. And the scary part? It functions entirely within browsers like Chrome and Edge. Notice how this works. There is absolutely zero traditional malicious download required. None. You just click a link, some malicious JavaScript abuses the Chromium File System Access API, WebAssembly swoops in to encrypt your local files right there inside the browser, and boom, you're looking at a ransom page. Because there's no executable file downloaded to your hard drive, your traditional antivirus software doesn't even see it coming. So for all of you Chromium users watching, which, let's be real, is most of you on Chrome, Edge, or Brave, you absolutely have to remain vigilant right now. Google and Microsoft are scrambling to patch this, but until they do, listen closely. Never grant file permissions to unknown sites. If a website randomly asks to see your local files and you don't know exactly why, deny it immediately. Go into your browser settings, disable the File System Access API, and make sure you're using strong security extensions like uBlock Origin to block these malicious scripts in their tracks. And unfortunately, this threat actually extends directly into the very tools that software engineers use every single day. Researchers just found some critical vulnerabilities in the hugely popular Cursor IDE. It works like this. A hacker simply hides malicious prompt injection inside what looks like a totally normal coding request. The AI reads it, assumes it's a legitimate request, breaks right out of its security sandbox, and starts executing dangerous system-level commands directly on the developer's machine. To put that into perspective, these are CVE-level vulnerabilities with a severity score of 9.8 out of 10. That is basically as bad as it gets. So developers, if you are using Cursor, you literally must update to version 0.46 or higher immediately. Hackers were likely already exploiting these massive vulnerabilities out in the wild, so don't wait on this.
All right, Section 3, Meta challenges cloud giants and the death of the middleman.
So zooming out to some macro business moves, Meta is launching something called Meta Compute Cloud to sell off its massive surplus of AI power. And honestly, their competitive edge is crystal clear. They're offering GPU as a service for roughly $2.40 an hour. That makes them up to 40% cheaper than AWS and Google Vertex AI. You might be wondering, how are they pulling that off? Well, they're working directly with hardware manufacturers and just completely cutting out traditional enterprise cloud intermediaries. Meta spent billions building this infrastructure for their own use, and now, taking a page right out of Amazon's AWS playbook, they are flipping their internal servers into a massive new revenue stream.
And that brings us to Section 4, AI reshapes finance and food, eliminating the friction.
Because this whole overarching trend of disintermediation, killing the middleman, it extends straight into decentralized finance and, surprisingly enough, our daily food deliveries. Take this, for example. Robinhood just launched the first AI-native blockchain on an Arbitrum Layer 2 network. It relies on these things called tokenized stocks, which, exactly like it sounds, are blockchain versions of traditional stocks like Tesla or Apple. But here is why that matters. It lets you give an AI agent a prompt like, hey, if Apple drops below $150, buy $1,000 worth. The AI will then automatically execute those trades for you, around the clock, 24/7, totally ignoring traditional market hour limits. And it does all of that for a microscopic 0.1% fee. Now, in a totally different industry, Block's Square platform is doing something very similar for restaurants. Normally, a restaurant is forced to pay a staggering 25 to 30% commission to platforms like DoorDash or Uber Eats. But Square just rolled out a plugin that lets customers order their food directly by just typing a prompt into ChatGPT or Claude. The AI fetches the menu, takes your order, and processes the whole payment right through Square. The fee? Just your standard processing fee of 2.9%. That's it. Zero service fees for the customer, and absolutely no exorbitant platform fees for the restaurant. I think California restaurant owner Maria Rodriguez hit the nail on the head here. She says they are just tired of paying 30% to delivery platforms, and that with Square and ChatGPT, they can finally offer better prices and still make a profit. Bypassing that Grubhub or Uber Eats middleman is literally the lifeline these small businesses need right now to survive on razor-thin margins. Think about it. A 30% delivery fee often meant taking a complete loss on an order. Dropping that fee down to under 3%? That completely changes the mathematics of the entire restaurant industry.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, the tech industry crossroads, connecting the dots.
Now, I know tonight's news dump might seem a bit scattered, but if we ask ourselves what all these stories actually have in common, it forces us to look past the individual headlines. Whether we are talking about Microsoft slashing thousands of gaming jobs or Robinhood building automated crypto stock networks, we absolutely have to see the bigger picture. We're looking at massive macroeconomic tech trends that are directly impacting our wallets, our careers, and for sure, our personal security.
Let's synthesize all of this. What we are really witnessing is absolutely ruthless cost-cutting across big tech, and that is perfectly mirrored by AI just tearing down traditional middlemen across both retail and cloud computing. But here's the catch. At the exact same time, this rapid, wild shift to AI-native infrastructure is exposing deep, terrifying new security flaws, from those browser APIs we talked about to developer code editors. The old barriers between these industries, they are completely dissolving.
So looking ahead to the rest of 2026, I think the writing is pretty much on the wall. We're predicting over 10,000 total gaming layoffs before the year is out. Antivirus software, it's going to have to pivot entirely to browser-specific protection. Meta is poised to snatch a huge chunk of the cloud market right out from under Amazon. And those food delivery apps are either going to slash their fees or they are going to go completely obsolete. The professionals and businesses who adopt the fastest to this new reality, the ones mastering new security practices or completely rethinking their cloud infrastructure, they are the ones who are going to survive and thrive. So we're going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. As the tech industry evolves at this absolute breakneck speed, are we actually seeing the end of the traditional big-budget gaming era? And ultimately, who is going to survive this total top-to-bottom AI transformation? Make sure you keep your browsers updated, protect your data, and we will see you on the next explainer.